Today, we are going to talk about monopolistic competition. By the end of this lesson, I hope that you are able to do three things. First, you should be able to understand what a monopolistically competitive market is. Second, you should be able to determine specific examples of monopolistic competition. And finally, you should be able to compare and contrast monopolistically competitive markets to other market types we've studied, such as perfectly competitive or monopolies. The industry structure known as monopolistic competition refers to a situation in which there is product differentiation. So each firm has some degree of monopoly power, but there is also free entry so that profits are driven to zero. It is important to note two things in this definition: product differentiation and free entry. Product differentiation is when each firm attempts to differentiate its products from the other firms in the industry. Simply put, firms produce similar but distinctive products, which allow for firms to be selective monopolists within the industry. Free entry is also significant because this is a characteristic of a competitive market. Product differentiation and free entry are proof that monopolistic competition contains elements of both competitions and monopolies. Similar to monopoly, firms in a monopolistically competitive market face a downward sloping demand curve for its product. Therefore, it can set its own price instead of passively accepting market price. It is also important to note that the point of equilibrium occurs when the demand curve and the average cost curve are tangent. If firms continue to enter the industry, as long as they expect to make a profit, equilibrium must satisfy the following conditions. 1. Each firm is selling at a price and output combination on its demand curve. 2. Each firm is maximizing its profits given the demand curve facing it. And 3. Entry has forced the profits of each firm down to zero. These facts imply that the demand curve is tangent to the average cost curve, as we saw in the previous slide. It should also be noted that although profits are zero, the situation is still Pareto inefficient because if the price is greater than the marginal cost, there could be expanding output. Here are some examples of monopolistic competition. These firms are most common where differentiation is possible. Let's review some of the other market types we have covered in class. In a perfect competition, there are numerous buyers and sellers. This means that they cannot set the price on their own. Instead, they passively accept whatever the market price is. There are no barriers to entry in the market. On the opposite side of the spectrum from a perfectly competitive market is a monopoly. In a monopoly, there's only one seller with a unique product. Therefore, they are the price setter and can determine the price they want to sell their product at. There are barriers to enter this market. An oligopoly is similar to a monopoly since it only has a handful of sellers. However, since there are more than one seller, the firms must be price takers unless they collude together to act as a monopoly, in which case they can set their own price. We can see that a monopolistically competitive market contains properties of both a perfect competition and a monopoly. Like a perfect competition, there are numerous buyers and sellers and no barriers to entry. Like a monopoly, the products are unique and therefore they can act as price setters. We covered a lot in this presentation. Please refer to chapter 26.7 in our book for more information.